Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Talk Connected Podcast. Today, you will see we have our first guest. This is Dr. Sonia Murrey. Warm welcome,
Thank you.
warm welcome. So, what is Talk Connected Podcast? Talk Connected Podcast is a podcast where we are here to inspire, educate, and inform you, the listeners and viewers, about emotional and mental well being, taking care of your health, and different real life topics that we all tend to journey through. So, who is Dr. Sonia Murrey, right? The esteemed Dr. Sonia Murrey. So, she is the founder and CEO of Jump First. She is dedicated to helping creators transform their experiences into powerful mentorship programs, which she has done and which she will continue to do. She is a forward-thinking leader. She is an author, and she is on a mission to set out to reach millions through free and premium quality offers. So, here is her book, The Authority Architect, so fitting for who she is. Dr. Sonia, can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Oh yeah, for sure. My cheekbones kind of hurt, but thank you. It's nice to hear your little sister talk about you in that way. But yeah, Authority Architect is definitely, I've created it for high performers, like creatives. Sometimes we can get in our own heads about whether or not we are actually experts. And so it's a way for you to narrow down and niche down the topic that you want to utilize to reach people around the world, and not just in your local vicinity, but the ways that you can teach from your life lessons, the wisdom that you have gained throughout your life, and how you can distill those into concepts and frameworks that can create a global premium luxury learning brand. And so I created Authority Architect for that reason, and this is just volume 1. So we got some more rolling out, and I'm super excited about it. But it's on Amazon, available, and yeah.
I love that. So, how you even introduced your book was so fitting to how I want to kind of roll out the episode of this podcast. So, the episode of this podcast is called Overcoming Fear.
I love it.
That's right. So, you mentioned when you were talking about your book how people go through different struggles, how they navigate them, and how you can help navigate and help them get through those fears and struggles. So, one question that I have for you is, let's start off with, what is fear to you?
So I know that we've all probably heard the acronym like false evidence appearing real, right? And for me, that's essentially what fear is. Fear, I have come to understand, is just an emotion, and I have control over my emotions. I have control over my thoughts. And so fear it's a distraction, in my opinion, and it's something that I feel like it never goes away, but you just take steps in spite of it. So
right.
I agree with the acronym that people have assigned to it: fear, false evidence appearing real. It's
That's
not real.
right.
It's all made up. So
That's right.
you could create another story, whatever you
That's
want,
right.
whatever story you want to assign to whatever you're about to do in order to overcome the feeling and emotion to go do the thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what I love about that is so oftentimes when I'm talking to my clients, I'll tell them, there's an influence that fear has over your life, right? But it's an influence. And even though fear is in our mind, it creates this impairment, right? This false sense of impairment. And from that impairment, sometimes we get stuck. It causes stagnation. Did I just make that word up?
I make words up all the time.
Words up, they know I make words up all the time. It causes us to be stagnant. It causes us to have barriers and hindrances in our lives. So often I tell people, how are you living under the influence of fear? And what do you feel like you need? As you said, fear sometimes never goes away. But how can we say, fear needs to move out of my way so that I can continue? And when I say that, fear will be present, but it's about your mindset of overcoming it.
Yeah.
So Is there any advice that you can give, or even any experiences that you've had of how you have overcome fear and the presence of it in your life,
Oh
even
my
with your
goodness.
business and who you are?
Oh my goodness, yeah. Like it's a constant thing. Like every
Mhm,
day I feel like,
mhm.
you get on and the more you practice something, the easier it becomes.
That's
And it's
right.
not to say that there's not still fear. I remember talking to one of my mentors and he was telling me, he's like, he talks on big grand stages,
Yes.
that I aspire to do the same. And he told me, he was like, still my hands still sweat. I still
Mhm,
get shaky and nervous before I go out there. I'm still like doubting if whether or not what
mhm.
I'm going to say is going to land. But I get out there and I just do it anyway. And
That's
so you
right.
come up with these ways to overcome that fear, not just mentally, but also like physically. Like there are certain things
Absolutely.
that I do that put me in the mindset of, okay, I'm going to get this done. And I'll talk about those in a second. But one of the things that I can think back of, like, the biggest roadblock for me getting started my business was this fear of who does she think she is, and
Mm.
I had the PhD, I had been in my field for quite some time. I had been teaching and developing courses, but I don't know, for some reason I was like, people are gonna be like, who does she think she is to start this business and teach other
Yes.
people how to teach and create courses? And so because of also all the nuances and traditional societal constructs,
Mhm.
people telling you how your life should go,
That's
essentially,
right.
like go to school, get a good job, climb the career ladder. I sat on my business for 2 years. I sat on the
Wow.
idea for so much longer than that, but I formed the LLC and had everything together for 2 years. And, I remember I got fired. That's a whole other story for
Yes.
a later
Stories inside a
episode.
story.
Yeah. But I had got fired from my job, was searching for another one for like 9 months. And that whole time I could have been just working on my business. I look back now,
Yes.
but everything happens for a reason. But I know it was fear that was holding me back. And so today my process looks a little bit different. Back then I had to make myself uncomfortable and I
Mhm,
just had to quit my job, and literally the name of my business is Jump First. And
mhm.
so I quit my job to alleviate my safety net. Like I wanted a space where, because I was comfortable.
That's right.
I was
That's
making,
right.
I was making six figures, doing what I wanted to do, going where I wanted to go, but I was super comfortable and I was just like, I gotta get out of my own way. I gotta get uncomfortable in order
Yes.
to do this thing. And so Jump First was born. Like it is a lifestyle. I tell
Mm,
people all the time, not just a brand, not just my company. It's literally the way that I
absolutely.
live. And so, and the way I encourage my clients and mentees to live as well. And so I made myself uncomfortable. And I still do that to this day where I will make myself uncomfortable. And one of the ways that I get out of my head is by thinking about, why am I doing this?
Yes.
Right? Like, what is the ultimate goal? And a lot of the things that I do, and most of us do as high performers, a lot of people I interact with, is not for us. It's like this
Mhm.
selfless act of purpose and helping other
Yes.
people. And so when I start thinking in that way, I'm like, okay, I gotta do this. Like I'm just a
Mhm.
vessel at the end of the day,
That's
So I
right.
have to get out of my own way and do this. And I have to do it scared and with the sweating palms and the
Yes.
nervousness and all the things. But also like I talked about earlier, some of those physical things that I do too to put myself in the right space.
Okay.
So one of like the things that I like to do if I'm sitting down and creating content, about to put myself on social media. It gets crazy in these social
Mhm.
media internet streets. But in order to do that, there is a certain level of confidence that has to come with that, right?
Mhm.
And so it may be something as simple as like lighting a candle in a specific scent that
Yes.
pushes me in that direction. If I don't
That's
feel like
right.
going to the gym, I have a specific lotion that I put on
Mhm.
that signifies to my brain, no, we're getting ready to go get this workout in.
Mhm.
So there are little things that you start to pick up when you really tap in and understand where the fear is coming from. You got to sit with
Absolutely.
it for a second. Then, only then, once you acknowledge it, can you start to do things to overcome
That's
it.
right. That's right. And I love the fact that you said that. Number one, going to your point of a comfort zone, you had to
Mm-hmm.
remove the comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So many times, fear is a part of your comfort zone. One of the things that I tell people is a comfort zone is a beautiful place. but nothing grows there.
For real.
And I give the analogy of, imagine you laying in your nice comfy bed. It's a Saturday morning. You ain't got nothing to do. You don't got work. You don't got anything to do. And you lay there all day.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing gets done.
Yeah.
There is no productivity to your day. Not that you had to do anything, right? But sometimes we want to get up and we want to take care of ourselves to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we want to clean the closet out. Sometimes we want to do some yard work, right?
Mm-hmm.
A comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing grows there. There's no productivity there.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when we put that to our lives, we say, I'm comfortable in this space and in this version that I'm in within my life right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm comfortable with who I am. I have a routine. And we don't want to disrupt our routine, but we know that there's better for us. We know that there's growth and elevation in our lives. However, we're just so comfortable with the space that we're in. We don't do anything about it. But guess what? Nothing grows there.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, sometimes we have to remove the safety net of comfort because we know that there are certain seasons in our lives. There are seasons where it's for us to maybe just be a little bit comfortable and navigate that territory. But then there are seasons when that comfort starts to disrupt and become a barrier to the new version of us in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's time to remove it.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And one thing is do it scared. So I'm so grateful to even hear you talk about, well, even the smells, right? Because healthy coping skills we need to motivate us as well.
Yeah.
You said the smells, there's a certain lotion that I put on to motivate myself and say, hey, you got to get up and you got to go. Because even when we do get into that new territory, sometimes we get a little lax in that new territory.
It's levels.
Yes, and we got to remind ourselves, hey, you got to get up and you got to stay consistent and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, another thing that you also mentioned was, you know, I can't let my fears just kind of get in my way and just keep me where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
And
For sure.
and you said you have to acknowledge them. And one thing that I love that you said, right? I loved it so much because we tie in mental health into here too and emotional well-being. One of the things that you said was I have to acknowledge my fear.
Mm-hmm.
And what I tell people all the time is when it comes to fear, when it comes to negative thought processes, we acknowledge them, but we don't validate them. So we put them in front of us and we say, this is a fear, this is a barrier, but I'm not going to validate you because when I validate you, I say that you're okay and I stay there. So you acknowledge it and you work the process to get out of that space.
That's really good. And I love that. For me, I think I have a different process sometimes. It will depend on like where you are. Like
Absolutely.
if you're in a space where you are comfortable, because now I'm very comfortable in discomfort.
Yes.
Like I'm comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
I intentionally make myself uncomfortable.
That's right.
And I know that there are a lot of high performers, like we tend to do that because we're seeking a next challenge or elevation or, okay, what can I do now? So I make myself uncomfortable a lot of times. For me, it is a process for me to go, okay, what you are feeling right now is a valid thing and it makes sense for who it is you are, who you know yourself to be, and what you're currently doing. Like, for instance, going to a next level, like what you said, like there's levels to it, right? Like, so on your way to the next level, there's fear, because you've never been there. You don't know what's going on. And so your body has to adjust, like, right? So and we could get into like the science and the psychology and all the things. But essentially it's ego, like a lot of times. So your ego's job is to really just keep you safe. Like it's like, okay, no, we're good. We've been doing what we've been doing. It's been keeping us safe. You don't need to change anything. Even if you know logically it's for the betterment of you and for your growth.
That's right.
Your ego is like, nah. Let's just stay right here, girl. And so you fight. There's an internal struggle between where you are and that next level. And it's always like that. And then, like you said, like once you get to the next level, there's a comfort that is there because, okay, now I get it. It's familiar. And the ego is here again. Like, okay, yeah, we did it. Now we're safe. I understand we're safe. We're going to stay right here. We're going to stay safe. But you want to continue to climb. And so, you know, it's just one of those things where I feel like sometimes I have to say to myself, like, okay, what you're feeling is valid because you don't know what's going on at that next level.
Absolutely.
But let's also still continue forward. And so it just depends on your development, like how secure you are in understanding and knowing yourself, sitting with those uncomfortable feelings and then moving forward.
That's right. And I'm glad that you pointed that out because the process is different for everyone. And there are appropriate things to acknowledge and validate. And then in some people's lives, right, there are things where it's just like, I can acknowledge that, but I'm not going to validate that and say that it's true, right? But I'm so happy that you pointed that out because it is. Everybody's journey is different. And you even gave a beautiful example of when it's okay to acknowledge and validate. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Yeah. One of the things that I share even about myself, with this, I've been on this journey of going from an old version of me from a new version of me, right? One of the things that I used to say, and I've even said on this podcast before, listeners, is that I am a recovering introvert, right? So I'm a recovering introvert because I used to be inside, observe, like to stay in the cut. You know, people go to the restaurants, they want to give me the booth all the way in the back so I could see everything. That was me, right? But I truly feel like, and I'll just say, God gave me a calling over my life to really put myself in the front. Because becoming a mental health therapist, I feel like I had a purpose of intentionality to help people and heal people from mental and emotional, disparities, and just for them to find freedom and relief in that. And God had said, how can you help from the background? I need you in the front lines, on the front lines for where I'm taking you in your purpose. And it really resonated with me. And since then, I said, I'm a recovering introvert. But then I said, no, I have to watch my language because I don't even want to associate myself with an old version of me. I'm just going to say, I'm putting myself out there. And not that I have to become like the extroverted extrovert, right? But I can just put myself out there more and be who I need to be in this new version. So starting this podcast, Talk Connected, was a part of that. Yes, I never put myself on camera. I never put myself, on video. If anything, if I had to do anything, it was going to be audio, right? So Talk Connected podcast, when I first did this, I had fear. I said, well, how will other people receive me? And that's a part of fear of the judgments of other people. Not that I had a fear that people would judge me for starting a podcast, but how would they receive this reserved, quiet person who I've never seen before? Do you have the personality to do it? And then from the fear of other people's, ideations about me, I started to internalize that fear and have fear within myself of, well, should you really do it? Should you just put it on pause and build yourself up to who you need to be? But I felt so strongly, sometimes you just have to do it. And it circles back to what you said in the beginning of the podcast when you said, fear will always be present, but you just have to go when the time and opportunity presents itself.
Yeah.
So
it's always going to be there. Like, absolutely. You can't, it's just human. It's human psychology. Absolutely. And honestly, it's a part of it is like how I know I'm living.
That's right.
I'm feeling something, That's right. But I love that you said too, like words matter. Absolutely. How you talk about yourself, how you talk about your ventures, how you talk about what it is that you want to do, your desires, your needs, all of those things matter. And they matter much more than people want to acknowledge. And so it's not just talking to other people, it's self-talk. Like, how are you talking to yourself every day? Like, and this is one of the reasons, there's so many people say different things about affirmations, but I love my affirmations. I need my affirmations. And so I say them throughout the day because they're necessary and they help build me up and give me strength and the courage that I need to continue forward regardless, of what it is that I'm working on or what I'm doing. So I love that you took the jump. I like hearing people be like, I jumped first. I jumped first. I love it. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
you got to do it sometimes.
Yes.
You got to make yourself uncomfortable if you want to
Yes.
grow.
Yes.
And like I said earlier, get comfortable in the discomfort. Like, it's okay to be uncomfortable. I don't
That's
know, like,
right.
there's such a stigma around being uncomfortable. It's like, no, it's okay. You can be uncomfortable. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
That's
And
right.
there's no one to tell you how long the season of discomfort is supposed to last. You know, as far as I'm concerned, like our grandmother always used to say, I say this all the time, that as long as I'm in the land of the living, I'm forever learning. So if we're going to be forever learning, then there's always going to be a level of discomfort there. And I like to put myself, like I said earlier, in those spaces of discomfort. And one of my favorite ways to do that is getting around people who I know more than I know in very specific areas, in niches. And I get in those rooms and I just soak it up.
Yes.
I just sit there like a sponge. I don't even know. You know, they like, you know this. I'm like,
That's
I'm trying to learn what you know.
That's right.
So, and then as I learned throughout the years, and I love the analogy of a sponge, because somebody told me, and I can't remember who it was who said it first, but it was like this analogy of, yes, soak it up like a sponge, but you can also wring a sponge out. So whatever you don't need, right, comes out in the ring, and then you keep whatever else is absorbed through that sponge. So yeah,
that's right. The power of language, it has so much meaning. You know, just going from negative self-talk to positive self-talk, how you're talking to yourself, and you brought up positive affirmations.
Yes.
I tell people all the time, positive affirmations work, but you have to be consistent with them. So if you come from a place of having negative self-talk all the time, and what is negative self-talk? Negative self-talk is, you can't do that. You're not worth it. Who are you to do this? It's the negative things that you internalize and the voice that you hear in your head. And I tell people, a beautiful, healthy coping skill to deal with negative self-talk is positive affirmations, even if you don't believe them. Because what happens is, when you have your positive self-affirmations and you start listening to them or reading them every day, subconsciously, it starts to soak inside of you. And then all of a sudden, you begin to speak it out your mouth. So I tell everyone, right, it starts as a thought in the mind. I want to start my positive self-affirmations. It seeps down into your heart and you start to believe it. And then all of a sudden, subconsciously, you start to speak that out of your mouth. But there has to be consistency in it, right? And even back to the example that I used as a podcast and me starting this podcast, one of the negative self-talks that I had inside of me was, well, there's so many podcasts out there, like, who are you to start one? And then I heard something, it's so interesting. When I had this thought, I heard something. I was listening to someone, I forget who said it. I was listening to like another podcast somewhere, and they said, with all the podcasts out there, there are still people called to your voice.
Absolutely.
And that just really was confirmation, and it stuck out to me. And it said, there's purpose behind you starting yours, especially if you felt like it was a seed in your heart and in your life to do so.
Absolutely.
I loved that. Like that just, that stayed with me. There are people called to your voice. Just like it is people called to everyone else, the territory that you're in. There are people called to you. So I just want to stop and just say to people, and I want to encourage you, no matter what seed you have planted in your life, no matter what negative thoughts of fear or the influence of anything that's going on in your life telling you that you shouldn't, you can't, there's too many, I want you to know that there are still people called to your voice and whatever you are to do to your purpose set out in this lifetime.
Very true.
So, absolutely.
It's all purpose. I mean, that's something that I teach in my programs as well, is, to my clients and mentees is, that's one of the questions that comes up a lot is, well, somebody else is already teaching my topic, or somebody else is already doing it. I'm like, yeah, but they haven't heard from you.
That's
nobody can do it how you do it. Your story is unique. Your experiences are unique. Your perspective is unique on life. And there's somebody who needs to hear what you have to say exactly how only you can say it.
Absolutely.
Because of your experiences. So it's 8 billion plus people on the planet, right? Like, and one person can't reach all of them.
That's right.
We need more people to be able to step up and
Yes.
overcome that fear to walk in their
That's
purposes
right.
and to understand like their uniqueness. And that's one of the things that I love about the transition of social media to
That's
this day.
right.
You know, I love study trends and I can't help
Mhm.
it, and I see everything through a marketing perspective sometimes.
We need people like
Yeah.
that.
Exactly. And so one of these things that's happening is it's less about followers and more now about interest,
Yes.
right? And so you have people, the algorithms, AI, whatever you want to call it, at a very high level. I'll talk about it real quick. Is there are AI, the algorithms are leading people to interest-based media. So things that they are interested in and have
Yes.
expressed interest in or have researched, you know, like how we say sometimes, listening to me. How did it know I wanted that?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times what's happening is it's not just that it's listening. There are subconsciously you have already started researching this thing. You probably typed it in on Google or something, or sent it in a text to somebody or whatever have you. And so it picks up on that,
That's
right?
right.
Like, oh, this person's probably searching for this thing.
Mhm.
And so that's exactly how social media is working today, is it's sending you things that you might be interested in. And you don't even have to follow a person. You don't have to have ever interacted with a person to see their
Mhm.
content. It's just going to send it to you because you're interested in it.
That's
And
right.
so that's the whole point of like moving beyond fear, is this ability now, like social media and all the things around us. I mean, even creative endeavors that we see on TV, Netflix, and
Yes.
all those spaces, right? Where people are creating these things based on interest.
That's right.
And so it is giving you essentially more power to move beyond this fear of like, what are people going to think about me?
Mhm.
How are people going to perceive this? Because now you really get to focus on what interests you, what sparks your curiosity, what do you want to create without having this heavy burden of it has to be perfect, or I
Yes.
have to make sure it's edited correctly, or all of these things. It's just not necessary these days. And so there is becoming more of a freedom for people to just create what they want to create. And I love that you said earlier, and I'll touch on it real quick because that's what a lot of people stops people from really putting themselves out there, is a fear of perception. And
Yes.
so for high performers, I know I talk about it a lot, is, you know, there's the fear of success. There's the
Yes.
fear of failure. And we get that, and we've heard that a lot. But really, what I started tapping into is this more the fear of judgment is what stops people from like really starting. More than fear of
Mhm.
success, more than fear of failure,
Mm.
it's fear of judgment, like judgment from other people, whether it be in a positive or a negative light. That is what is stopping people. And in
That's right.
overcoming that, it is the ability to express yourself fully, understanding that there's no one like you.
That's
Like
right.
you have a unique fingerprint for a reason. Like you are unique.
That's
You know,
right.
you are unique. Everything about you is. And so let's like express that and show up in that
Yes.
fully and powerfully. And it's not to say that everyone's gonna be online and be on social media, but whatever your gifts are and your purpose is, like let's expand that. Because if you have a calling or you have a gift or you have something that you know you're supposed to be doing, it's likely you're not supposed to be doing it locally only. You're
Yes.
probably supposed to be impacting globally. And that's why I talk about social media so much, because it's just a way for you to get your voice out there to
Mhm.
reach so many more people
That's
at one
right.
time, instead of just only operating in your local area. But
That's
again, we
right.
need people in all areas, you know. So
Absolutely.
if you are called local, you're called local. But
Mhm.
you know, whatever that calling is, you need to be walking in it.
Yes. And sometimes it starts out local, right?
Mhm.
But then you have to know when expansion is calling you as well.
Mhm. Yep.
Like, to start in one place, but then it just, imagine like you plant seeds in your garden. It starts somewhere, but then it just starts spreading.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that was
Yeah.
so good. And you also hit on another thing that stood out. The fear of success, right? And we talked about no, hold on. We talked about the fear of failure.
Yes.
And we talked about the fear of judgment,
Yep.
but you hit on the other side of it.
Mhm.
The fear of success.
Mhm.
And a lot of times people were just like, well, why are you scared to be successful? Can you kind of like expound on the fear of success and the positive side, what people look at as the positive side?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, so high performers especially, right? Like the fear of success is that it's that feeling of once I become successful, what happens? And this can limit your wanting, your desire to want to like step out there and put yourself out there. Because once you become successful, what happens? Oh, I might have to leave my friends behind. I might have to leave my family behind. People are gonna look at me like, who does she think she is? Or who does he think he is? Like, and it will limit you from stepping into the fullness of your purpose, from walking in the fullness of who it is that you are, because you don't want to leave the people you care about behind, you know? And I say it's like behind in air quotes because you can't, number one, you can't bring everybody with you where you're going sometimes. So you have to use your discernment on that. And number two, like your walk isn't their walk.
That's right.
So you have to, somebody else's walk, like, here's how I started looking at it and how I overcame this fear of success. When I first started this journey, I don't know if you can remember, but I was trying to give books and coaching and everything to everybody. I was like, you should read this book. You should do this thing. You should look at this. But everyone wasn't there yet. Maybe it wasn't everybody else's time yet for that, right? Like this was my journey, this was my walk. And I remember listening to was a lady and her husband, I forget her husband's name, but Stacy Martino. She said something. I was attending this virtual mastermind event through one of my mentors, and she said, like, you have two hands. And she said, you know, you have your business family in one hand and you have your family, right? In the other hand. But if you look at it from your heart, blood flows to both hands. You just have to learn how to speak to love both differently, right? Like both have different purposes, but it's still love. Like, that's right. And so that really changed my perspective in understanding, like, okay, I get to be successful. I get to do what I need to do in my own right. And I still love my family. I still love my friends. But also I have this business family now that I also love who is helping me in this aspect. And so it's really just coming into the acceptance of you're not leaving everybody behind. You're allowing them the space to have their own journey. And there is so much more being said without being said as you just being a living example of what's possible. And so that's it. So that's how I had to liberate was, okay, well, let me go do what I need to do because I can make more impact through my walk as opposed to my talk. So
absolutely. And you got to find a balance as well, because when we go into something, we want to say, oh, well, maybe I could put 50% over here, 50% over here, and knowing that it's not going to be 50-50 in your balance with where your love flows as you're navigating where you're at.
100.
That's right. That's right.
Like it could be just
that's right.
It looks different.
Yes, and that's the key thing. It looks different. It looks different because even when I talk about relationships with people are just like, well, that question that I'm not a fan of. What do you bring to the table? Yeah. So, it's not about what you bring to the table, because when I talk to people about this, I usually tell them that it's not about if I'm 50 this day and they 60 that day, or, well, that didn't add up to 100, but if I'm 50 this day, I need you to be 50 this day. If I'm 60 this day, I need you to be 40 that day. When you are entering into a relationship, now you will not always have everything, right? You will not always be 100% filled. But when you are entering into a relationship, are you entering in 100%? With an overflow to give people. You should come whole. Sometimes we don't have to look for what do you bring to the table. And we're not talking about like roles and I just want somebody to take the trash out, or I want this, or I want that, right? We're coming and we're talking about like mentally, emotionally, where you're at in your life. Are you coming into a relationship whole? Or are you looking for someone to add to you what you can add to yourself? And that's not to say we don't need people, because we need people in collaboration in this life. But we should not be looking for people to give us things and add to us. We should be whole and healed and signed and delivered ourselves, right? We should have what we need. Like you said, having the space for your own journey. And if you don't have everything that you need, you should be, growing in what you need and looking for it. So I love the fact that you said, even where you said 100, like, 100, because what you need in your growth and what you need in your journey is wholeness. And then the other person, they come with wholeness.
Yes.
And it's an overflow of collaboration and navigating the spaces that you're individually in life and the spaces that you're coming into collaboration with.
Yeah. And you're not constantly, when you come into a situation whole, you're not constantly nitpicking and trying to figure out what's wrong with that person or why they're not doing this or why they're not doing that, because you don't need somebody else to complete you. Like, and this is a daily thing that you have to choose too, right? Like you have to choose to fill up daily. It's like connecting with God every day. You can't, it's like taking a bath, right? Or a shower. I don't know. No offense to people who don't take showers every day, and I get it, but there's this thing like yesterday's shower doesn't compensate for today's cleanliness, right? And so it's the same thing with God. Like you have to connect every single day. You have to choose every single day to fill up and so to be whole. And I feel like when you have a connection and a relationship with God, then everything flows from that. And people feel that, whether it's in a romantic relationship, friendship, familial relationships, right? People can feel where you're coming from. And this is so important, especially in business. And people try to take spirituality and faith outside of business, and they're really interconnected because your people are going to feel where you're coming from before they hear your words or before they read your words. Like it's people can feel energy, where are you coming from? Where is this actually like? So people can feel desperation. People can feel completeness. People can feel wholeness. People can feel inspiration, right? These things that radiate off of you. And so it's really important to be connected to your source, to God, before you go out trying to like help anybody else or connect or collaborate with anybody else in any relationship. You have got to make sure that you got you. Then you won't find yourself when you have you and you are solid in you. And this goes back even like full circle to the beginning of our conversation of like being able to acknowledge fear, being able to acknowledge those feelings that you're feeling. When you got you, you are not seeking missing parts of anybody else or seeking to take from their wholeness. Like you can actually complement people better when you are whole.
Yes, that's right. And that's the word, to complement. When you're both whole, you complement each other. And there's just pieces of people that can add to your life in your wholeness.
Or whole parts of people that can add to your life.
That's right.
Yeah, I love
that.
Listen, come whole as well. Right? If I'm whole, you got to be whole too. Let's like bring the holes together.
Because we don't want draining of anyone. We want everybody to feel nourished and capable.
Across the board. Like literally, I've experienced this in my business, whether it be hiring people, working with clients, mentees, students, romantic partners, right? Familial relationships. It is literally everything. Every single interaction that you have with anybody, you got to be whole, okay? So that you can bring that out in the other person as well. Especially like what I was talking about earlier, like walking, people know your walk before your talk. Like just always. Like I should be able to see the fruit of what you got going on before you ever even open your mouth to speak it to me.
Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, all day. All day.
What are you a reflection of, right? So I kind of want to ask you, through overcoming fear, because we know that fear can be present daily, right? Through everything that you go through and the navigation of all the thoughts, all the feelings, how do you take care of yourself?
Oh, that's great. There's wind down times. And there's wind up times, right? So morning times are for me. So most people are like, oh goodness, you get up at what time? That's kind of crazy. But I enjoy it. I like the morning. So I'm up by like 3:30-ish in the morning. I love a good meditation session, reading my Bible, praying, connecting like I talked about to God. I mean, that's my creator, right? And I just said this to somebody earlier today. I said, God who has created me, us, who has created these things around us that we can't even explain.
That's right.
Why would our creator create us if it wasn't for us to continue to create? But I can't create outside of him, right?
That's
so
right.
I need him. And so that's my first thing. That's how I take care of myself, is making sure that I fill up before I go out into this world.
That's
because I know
right.
my purpose. I know what I'm meant to do is to be an impactor. And a lot of people say influencer, but I prefer the word impactor. And to help other people walk fully in their purposes. And so in order to do that, I have to fill up first. So that's one of my favorite things to do in the morning, is making sure I am grounded and ready for the day. Journaling helps me do that. All sorts of stuff that helps me connect with and identify how am I feeling, what am I doing today, and what does God have for me to do today? And so that's important to me. And then gym. Oh, I love the gym. I guess it's good physical exercising. I love the gym because I have to be physically healthy.
That's right.
And in shape to carry out my mission. I know that about my mission and my purpose. And so that's important to me as well. It also is very meditative for me to be in the gym and working out. So I like that part. And then there's a wind down. At the end of the day, it's really a reflection.
That's right.
Same thing. Journaling. I do a lot of gratitude journaling as well.
That's good.
And meditation. Just and take myself on dates, in between time and meantime. But just a lot of self-care, appreciating myself.
Absolutely.
Appreciating myself. Yeah.
Yes. What I hear in that is intentionality and purposefully making time for you.
Yes.
Right.
I love it.
So I love that. So if you could leave our online community listeners with any thoughts about overcoming fear, what would you say to them?
Oh, that's great. Jump first. That's what I would say. Jump first. When you don't give yourself sometimes time to think about what you're about to go do, but you just know and you can feel like there's a pull, there's an inclination for you to do something, jump first. And then you'll figure it out. As you go, you can't figure out how to fly. So in order to fly, you must jump first, is the tagline for Jump First. And it really is, like I said, a lifestyle and not just a brand, not just a business. It's something that you continue to do. And you will figure it out after you decide to take the jump. Always seek God first, seek his wisdom. Is this what you intend for me to do? And he will send the resources. If he gave you the vision, I always say this, if he gave you the vision for something, if you can see it in your mind, you believe it in your heart, then you're supposed to be doing it. You're supposed to have it, because he didn't give it to anybody else. He gave it to you. And this is oftentimes why we can't explain our vision fully, our purpose fully, and what we're supposed to be doing, because it's not for anybody else. It's for you to do. So if you can see it and you feel it in your heart, then it's for you to do. And so take the leap, take the jump, operate in faith, okay? And then you'll figure out the rest along the way. But the fear may never, ever go away. So in waiting for that to happen, it could be years, okay, months, weeks. We don't need to wait. There's no such thing as divine timing. When God tells you to do something, it is in his timing. It means that he's going to make it come to fruition. He's going to give you the resources. It's time for the acceleration and elevation in that moment. Now, we can miss the divine timing sometimes, but that's not to say it's not to come to pass. It's just sometimes it's a little harder hill to climb, okay? In doing and living out that purpose. So in the divine timing, just jump. Just do what he says to do. And that fear, as you jump, as you elevate, it'll start to dissipate. If you've ever been on a plane, then okay, that turbulence is wild at first. But then the higher you climb and elevate, the more smooth the ride is. And you go, okay, we got it from here. So
that's right. I love that. You heard it here. Jump first.
That's right.
So we just want to give Dr. Sonia a warm thank you so much for joining us on Talk Connected today.
Thank you for having me.
It has been a wonderful conversation. Hopefully our listeners got so much out of it. Continue to play it back. Take a look at other episodes on Talk Connected podcast. And what we just want to leave our listeners off with, one more thing, is Dr. Sonia where can we find you?
Thank you. I appreciate that. So all social platforms for the most part. On LinkedIn, Dr. Sonia Murray, Murrey. We're on Instagram and Facebook at Jump First ORG, Jump First ORG. And then on YouTube. We also are on YouTube at Jump First Academy. So there are a lot of powerful gems over there talking a lot of things, premium courses, entrepreneurial stuff, and tips and gems and all that stuff, but definitely how to build out a premium course luxury learning brand for, your own business, whether you have a business currently or you're looking to start one. And then you can check out additional trainings and resources at jumpfirstacademy.org.
All right. So thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who joined us, who is listening. Stay tuned for more gems. If you have any questions, if you want to hear about a topic, if you want to learn about more of what Jump First is, please listen and find Dr. Sonia.
Thank you.
So outside of that, I hope that you all have a beautiful day, a beautiful week ahead of you. Continue to walk into your purpose. Continue to allow fear to move out of your way. Get out of those comfort zones. If you don't know how to do it on your own, please reach out to a support system, a therapist, a church leader, whoever is appropriate for you in your life, where you can have that collaboration and support. Don't forget to check in on yourself and build yourself up. And I will see you all next time on Talk Connected.
And your plug.
My plug, yes. So I am Virginia Murray. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm also the owner of Progressive Perspective Counseling, LLC. You can find us at progressiveperspectivecounseling.com. You can email us at inquiry@progressiveperspectivecounseling.com. I also have a book out. You can find my book on Amazon. It is called The Completion of Self by Virginia Murray. And Murray is Murrey. Thank you for adding me in there.
You're very welcome. It's always what I do.
That's right. Have an awesome day, everybody. See you next time.
Bye, y'all.